You know that expression, there are two kinds of people in the world? It's absurd. There are lots of different kinds of people in the world. But I want to talk about two specific kinds of people right now. So we have people who very knowingly helped Donald Trump get elected. And then maybe were caught doing things they shouldn't have been doing in that effort, and then apologized because they actually felt sorry for what they did. No, they apologized because they got caught. And then we have another kind of person who also did a lot to help Donald Trump get elected in 2024. And now, seeing what's going on, these people are beginning to speak out. Whereas in the first group, they are doubling down on their support of the Trump regime. So in the second group, we have those who are just looking on in horror at the dismantling of our government, at the horrific treatment of immigrants, and that slippery slope we seem to be sliding down faster and faster every single day. And it's the second group I want to focus on, because the first group, they're just as bad. I mean, they would fit right into the Trump regime, and they're still carrying the Trump regime's water. And we need to ignore them. And when we have the opportunity, we need to box them out. They are not worthy of our consideration. And quite frankly, I don't believe there's anything they can do to redeem themselves. So what about the second group? Well, it's important, especially those with enormous platforms. It is important that they are starting to point out, without pulling any punches, the depredations of the Trump regime, and specifically of Donald Trump himself, because, as we know, that often does not come without a cost. So what kind of stops me sometimes is the failure of such people to admit they were wrong, to apologize for the very significant part they may have played in landing us all in the conditions that they are so loudly bemoaning. Can you guys just apologize? Can you be an adult human being and admit you were wrong? Because do you know how much further that would go? Because so many people are in the same boat. So many people supported Donald Trump, whether it's because they thought he was lying and they didn't care, or they believed him and were just willing to ignore the evidence in front of them. I don't know. But so many people who supported him are now coming to their senses, or they're seeing for the first time just how dangerous and crazy this person is, just how ill-advised perhaps it was to give him power, but they're not willing to take that extra step and say, hey, I'm part of the problem. Why does that matter? I mean, it matters to me a lot, but should it matter so much that we box these people out too? I mean, I'm not talking about extending grace to such people. Not my place. I don't know them. I'm talking about being such a purist when it comes to who can be legitimately in opposition to the Trump regime, that we risk silencing voices that could be very important in this fight. So does it matter that they may not be as showing as much contrition as we'd like, or as I would like? Does it matter that they may not be contrite at all? And the answer is that as long as they understand and are willing to speak out forcefully and often about the dangers we're facing because Donald Trump is in the Oval Office, regardless of how he got there, then guess what? Welcome. Let's dive in. Hey everybody, welcome to this evening's episode of Mary Trump Live. It's great to have you here. And what I should have said was, welcome to the fight, is what I should have said. So welcome to the fight, everybody. Okay, well, this should surprise absolutely nobody, but Donald is coming perilously close to ignoring the Constitution. Why shouldn't this surprise us? Well, one, because it's a document he's never read, so how would he know he's ignoring it? And two, just intuitively, he's been ignoring it for a very long time anyway. But this time around, he's doing it in a way that feels explicit and pointed. Last night, Donald posted on his failing social media platform that, quote, "we cannot give everyone a trial," unquote, when it comes to his mass deportations. Now, again, not that he would know this, but the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution affords everybody in the United States counsel, regardless of citizenship. Denying them that right, denying them due process, is blatantly unconstitutional. So this is the part that Donald is willfully, and everybody in his orbit, including people who should know better, like, I don't know, attorneys, are ignoring that the right to due process exists for every individual in this country, not any individual who is a citizen of this country. And that's the important distinction, right? You can have been airdropped here from somewhere else entirely and not be an American citizen. And if something goes wrong, you too have a right to due process. So what Donald Trump and his regime are trying to do is muddy the waters and convince people who want to be convinced that that Sixth Amendment right doesn't apply to illegals, as they would put it, doesn't apply to people who came into this country by means that aren't necessarily legal, doesn't apply to people who aren't citizens, even if such people are here legally. Because right now, so far, generally speaking, the people who have been illegally detained and deported and disappeared and incarcerated in other countries have not been United States citizens. Although accidents are starting to happen. Anyway, some people are going to be okay with that because what they are failing to be told is that that is a very, very, very dangerous road to go down. Because if one person in this country does not have the right to due process, nobody does. And Donald does not want his base to understand this. A federal judge is pushing back on these unconstitutional deportations. This judge from Colorado ruled that the Trump regime must provide Venezuelan migrants with 21 days notice before deportation under the 1798 Alien Enemies Act, allowing time to challenge removals in court. The judge also stated the notice must be in a language the migrants understand and inform them of their right to consult legal counsel. ACLU's challenge, the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, which is the American Civil Liberties Union, is challenging this because they had requested a 30-day notice period, citing due process concerns. This comes in the wake of the United States Supreme Court's recent decision on April 7th that requires migrants to be given an opportunity to challenge their deportations, though it did not specify the notice period, because that's what this Supreme Court is so good at, failing to be specific. The Colorado judge is not the only one pushing back on deportations without trials or affording people their rights, which brings us to none other than Joe Rogan. He's on the right now, I guess, but his politics had always been kind of murky until he definitely became a hardcore supporter of Donald Trump. This is what Rogan had to say on his podcast.
The problem with things that are going in a radical direction, and then there's an overcorrection. So the overcorrection is lack of due process. The overcorrection is like round them all up, ship them to jail. Like that's like some things that you say when you're not thinking things through. Like, what do you do about all the criminals? Take them all, fucking send them to El Salvador.
Yeah.
What about due process? No, fuck that. Well, here's the problem with fuck that. What if you are an enemy of, let's not say any current president. Let's pretend we got a new president, totally new guy in 2028. And this is a common practice now of just rounding up gang members with no due process and shipping them to El Salvador. You're a gang member. No, I'm not. Prove it. What? I got to go to court. No,
Yeah.
no due process. Here it is. Benjamin Franklin. It's better 100 guilty persons should escape than one innocent person should suffer. That is wisdom
Yeah.
that has survived hundreds of years. It's incredibly accurate, and it is the foundation of freedom.
Yeah, and it's like never been true in America, but that's okay. Joe, welcome. By the way, I think it's worth pointing out that in 2028, if Democrats back into power, we have much better things to do. We have much bigger criminals to put on trial and incarcerate. I can think of a few off the top of my head. Some of them are already convicted felons, as a matter of fact. Anyway, good that Rogan is warning how dangerous this process of deportation has been. And yeah, he's got a huge platform. Subscribe to this channel. And he's warning. Rogan is warning because I guess he's been listening. That we have to make sure America doesn't become monsters. Doesn't become, my word, we already are. Because Joe, we're there already. We are there. We are way past. Are we monsters or not? Just as we are way past. Are we in a constitutional crisis? Or yes, we are in several constitutional crises. Yes, we are well past the point where Donald Trump has been ignoring the Constitution. We are well past there, being at those points of critical danger. Okay, so what? Well, keep speaking out about it, of course, because as we're seeing at Republican town halls and a lot of protests, the American people actually get this stuff, or a lot of them do. We need more of them too, though, because as I said earlier, Donald Trump is doing everything in his power to make sure that a critical mass of people does not understand what is actually going on, who actually are believing that it is okay to deny rights to one class of people because they believe that that will never affect them. It's not true, right? But they have been trained for so long to believe the lies, especially even, I would suggest, lies that make their lives worse. Like, these are the people, I'm not kidding you. These are the people who are ready to be told at some point, if you want to make America great again, you cannot take your Social Security anymore. That cannot belong to you anymore. That is how far gone this is. So we need to work on the people who are still paying attention and who are still engaged enough to believe the evidence in front of them. And there is so much of it. So again, I am glad that Joe Rogan is on the right side of this, because millions of people listen to him. Mostly the demographic with which Democrats are in the most trouble. Young white men, young disaffected white men, because apparently not enough is going right for young white men in this country. So here's a perfect example of how we are already the monsters Rogan worries we are going to become. Maria LePere and Charlotte Pohl, both recent high school graduates, so they're still teenagers, from Germany, were on a world tour visiting countries like Thailand and New Zealand, to name a few. And their vacation took an unexpected turn when they made the huge mistake of visiting America. They arrived in Hawaii without pre-booking accommodations. Has anybody ever done that before? Yep. Especially when you're a teenager and you're just traveling around and you don't know what you're going to be able to afford. People do that all the time. But this is Donald Trump's America. So when they got to Hawaii without a reservation, immigration officials suspecting potential unauthorized work due to the lack of hotel reservations detained them. The two of them spent several days in a detention facility before being deported, despite holding valid travel documents and having no prior infractions. While they were detained, they were dressed in green prison uniforms and placed in a holding cell, along with long-term detainees, some of whom were facing serious criminal charges. They reported having to sleep on thin, moldy mattresses and were told by guards to avoid eating expired food. So, two teenagers on vacation were detained, placed in prison with actual criminals who were facing violent criminal charges. So, now we're not only imprisoning innocent people, but these, I'd say, purposefully careless detentions continue to target some of the people who are at the top of their field, the people that we are supposed to, that we used to be known for attracting to this country. Harvard Medical School's groundbreaking cancer research is in jeopardy after ICE detained Ksenia Petrova, a Russian scientist whose custom code is essential to analyzing images from a revolutionary microscope. Petrova was arrested in February at Boston's airport for failing to declare, wow. Okay, I'm about to get on a flight tonight. I'm glad I now know this is a crime. I'm going to have to repack. She was arrested for failing to declare frog embryo samples used in her research. Instead of a fine, her visa was revoked, and she's been held in Louisiana for 2 months and now faces deportation to Russia, where she fears persecution for opposing the war in Ukraine. Her mentor, a man named Dr. Leon Peshkin, said that no one else in the lab can replicate her skill set, combining embryology, data modeling, and bioinformatics. Without her, he and colleagues warn vital cancer research may stall indefinitely. Colleagues say her absence could derail major advancements in early cancer detection, and Dr. William Trim warned that without her, critical discoveries may never happen. If they deport her, we may never see her again, he said. But the impact of this case isn't just on the advancement of cancer research that can benefit the world, but acting as another strike against scientists who would normally consider working in America. Dr. Peshkin said, quote, "It's already having an effect. I hear from many colleagues that people who were planning to stay have changed their minds," unquote. This case highlights growing alarm over Trump-era immigration crackdowns. Petrova's first immigration hearing is this week, after 2 months. Her future and potentially life-saving research both hang in the balance here. So I've been asking this question a lot recently. Why? What is the purpose of such travesties? Why would anybody, any immigration officer anywhere, look at a couple of teenage kids who haven't made a reservation yet, come into Hawaii, obviously on vacation, and see a threat? That's the first question. The second question, why do we want to become a country shunned by experts in their field when the United States of America, despite its many, many flaws, was a beacon for such expertise until the not too distant past? Why? So I'll start with the first question first. Because when you put a petty tyrant like Donald Trump, somebody so insecure, so desperate to prove that he's something he's not, so unbearably in need of being seen as tough, when in reality, he is just the weakest, most pathetic person who has ever lived. That filters down. That creates a permission structure for other people like him, who see themselves in him, who also want power to make up for the voids in their lives. So we get a bunch of petty tyrants all over the place being empowered by the worst people in the world to do, in some cases, grievous harm to the most vulnerable people in the world. In this case, 2 teenagers just graduated from high school, wanting to see the world. Well, guess what? Nobody wants to see the United States of America anymore. And why would they? Second question. So, why is it that we don't want expertise in this country anymore? Why are we comfortable being at the point where instead of being that beacon, where instead of being a magnet for the best among us, the best minds, are we perfectly comfortable with the massive amount of brain drain that is going to hit this country and already is? Well, what is the best way? Sorry, that leads to another question. What is the best way to unravel a democracy and keep people so weakened that they are malleable? Well, you keep them poor, you keep them uneducated and ignorant, and you keep them sick. And that is Robert Kennedy's mandate. Make Americans sick. It all hangs together. Look what's happening to our economy. Look what's happening to our institutions. Look what's happening to our democracy. Look what's happening to our rights. And look what is happening to our health. One more thing. Imagine during World War II, people like Albert Einstein looked at America and said, oh, no, I do not want to go there. I don't feel safe there. I am not going to give them my expertise. That's what it sounds like is happening. And it's going to keep getting worse. All right. Please take a minute, like and subscribe. Sorry, like this video, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And if you're listening to the podcast, please rate us. That would be great. Thank you. All right. So the Trump regime's unpopularity is becoming clearer and clearer. And Tesla probably has a thing or two to say about that. It was yet another bad day to be Elon Musk, to which I say, hooray. I mean, I would think that every day being Elon Musk is a bad day, but now we have some numbers to back it up. Tesla has seemed a little reluctant, shall we say, to release its Q1 earnings, and now we know why. Profits fell, this is fun for me, 71% in the first 3 months of the year. Sorry. I can't help it. It makes me laugh. The company said it earned, this is, see, 2 things. And then I'll stop laughing about it. I'll get to the facts, I promise. But 2 things. This is what happens when you are deluded enough to believe that running the United States government is anything like running a business. Okay, so there's that. And this is also what happens when you think that 2 of the most awful business people who've ever lived are good business people. Okay, so back to the fun facts. Tesla said it earned $409 million, down from $1.4 billion in the first quarter of 2024. Donald, just in case you're watching, that's less. That's like a lot less. This comes as Chinese car makers are becoming increasingly popular, and Elon's involvement in, fascism and Doge, which is a tool of the fascists, are both becoming increasingly unpopular. Musk once hoped to sell 20 million vehicles a year by the end of the decade, which would have been twice as many as Toyota. But sales have been slipping. And last year, the company, Tesla, sold only 1.7 million cars. Again, that's a lot less than 20 million. And its global sales fell 13% in the first quarter of 2025 from the previous year. See, people are paying attention. What I actually don't understand is why Tesla is allowing this to continue. I mean, you either say to Elon Musk, or the board, I should say, says either you quit Doge and the United States government and please pick that option, or you're out. You cannot be part of Tesla anymore. Although, quite honestly, I think that ship has sailed. I think that brand is tarnished forever. Musk is not the only member of the Trump regime who's having a bad day. Pete Hegseth, well, Pete Hegseth's having a bad day, but I think he's far too stupid to understand why. The Pentagon continues to be in complete disarray under Hegseth's steady leadership, because there have been firings, leaks, internal chaos, all because of him, which is just yet another thing he has in common with his boss, Donald. Here's an update from ABC News.
President Trump is defending Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth after another possible security breach. Sources tell ABC News Hegseth shared information about upcoming U.S. strikes in Yemen in a second Signal chat, this time with family members. Now a Republican is joining calls for Hegseth to step down.
We have Congressman Dan Bacon. He sits at a senior level of the House Armed Services Committee. He has actually called for Pete Hegseth's ouster in response to this new second Signal chat that featured Pete Hegseth's wife, brother, and a personal lawyer, where he discussed, similar to that text thread with the Atlantic reporter, the March 15th strikes on Yemen, some operational details. And as we've heard from our Martha Raddatz, this is an instance where if a career official in the Defense Department was found to be communicating such operational plans, they would be fired and probably placed under criminal investigation.
Yes, yes. But how many times do we have to say that? They keep getting away with it. They're going to keep doing it. This is not the first time, as we know, that Hegseth has included random people in unsecure Signal chats while discussing top secret, highly classified war plans. That happened a month ago when he included a journalist from the Atlantic in a Signal chat where he proceeded to share war plans. And also, again, it's just some of the people in these unsecure chats are at the highest level of government. They included people like the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, they not should know better. They do know better. They just don't care. A former top official in the Pentagon, John Oliot, wrote an op-ed for Politico this week detailing the utter chaos happening inside the Pentagon, with staffers getting blamed left and right for leaking sensitive information. I'm guessing at this point, like, leaking information is really the only way, if you do care about American national security, it's probably the only way to send up a signal flare. There are rumors that Donald is considering replacing Hegseth after yet another massive debacle. But I don't know. I mean, there are a couple of reasons. Donald and Hegseth have a lot in common. They're both deeply incompetent men who like to get away with things. And for Donald, Hegseth is right out of central casting, which is very important to him. Also, they have this other very important thing in common. Neither one of them will ever take responsibility for anything. So I think without Hegseth, Donald will feel lonely. I mean, just look at what Hegseth said, told Fox during this interview.
So, Mr. Secretary, I guess I can conclude this. We know some bizarre situation with Michael Waltz happened with the first time the whole thing with the Signal app came out. You believe this came out, they said it was called Team Huddle, because one of the people who work for you, one of the three who no longer are there, leaked this out as a way to get back at you?
That's right, Brian. When you dismiss people who you believe are leaking classified information, and again, the investigation is ongoing and that will take time, and when the evidence produced, it will go to DOJ, why would it surprise anybody, Brian, if those very same people keep leaking to the very same reporters whatever information they think they can have to try to sabotage the agenda of the president or the secretary? So once a leaker, always a leaker, often a leaker. And so we looked for leakers because we take it very seriously. And we will do the investigation. Right. And if those people are exonerated, fantastic.
Okay, that's just deeply weird. What is with the bending of the knees, first of all? It's a little off-putting. And also, once a leaker, always a leaker, then you can also then say often, right? If it's always, it can't be, right? Listening to him is painful. I don't know, man. I don't know. The idea that that's as being characterized as this weird thing that happened on Signal. Oh yeah, you mean the Signal group I created and to which I invited reporters and people who, yeah, it was weird. It was really weird. No, the weird thing is that man still roams free and is not facing serious criminal charges. That's what's weird. Of course, the execrable White House press secretary, what's her name, already had her defense ready to go in today's briefing. And I apologize in advance, as I always must, when we play a clip of her. Here she is.
You said on Fox News that the entire Pentagon is working against Secretary Hegseth, but the people who were fired were Hegseth's own guys. So how do you square that, and what do you say to concerns that that's bad management?
They were Pentagon employees who leaked against their boss to news agencies in this room, and it's been clear since day one from this administration that we are not going to tolerate individuals who leak to the mainstream media, particularly when it comes to sensitive information. And the Secretary of Defense is doing a tremendous job, and he is bringing monumental change to the Pentagon. And there's a lot of people in this city who reject monumental change, and I think, frankly, that's why we've seen a smear campaign against the Secretary of Defense since the moment that President Trump announced his nomination before the United States Senate. Let me reiterate, the president stands strongly behind Secretary Hegseth and the change that he is bringing to the Pentagon, and the results that he's achieved thus far speak for themselves.
Is there any other way Donald Trump can stand other than strongly? Yeah. Okay. Monumental change. It is true. And I think it's important to talk about the monumental change that Pete Hegseth is bringing to the intelligence community. First of all, he's doing by having classified conversations on unsecured apps. That's a form of leaking, whether he likes to admit it or not. And it looks like they're doubling down on their defense of Hegseth. I don't know if it's going to matter in the end, because somebody who actually understands how disastrous it is to have Hegseth there, not because they care about national security, but because they care about how bad it looks, might change Donald's minds. He's good at having other people fire people on his behalf and then pretending that he doesn't know them. Hegseth will go down in history as yet another coffee boy or something, right? But let's talk about the monumental changes briefly that he is bringing to the Department of Defense by being so reckless, by caring so little about the one thing he's supposed to care about: national security, defending the American people from outside attack, right? By being so incompetent and so incredibly arrogant. Hegseth is sending a message to our allies not to trust us. So between him and Tulsi Gabbard, there is literally no reason anymore for any of our allies to trust us with their intelligence. Why, for example, would one of our Five Eyes allies ever share intelligence with us if they believe, which they should at this point, that doing so could endanger their people who gathered that intelligence in the first place? Because there's every reason to believe that somebody in this benighted government of ours will share that intelligence with one of our former enemies, people who are still enemies of our allies. So what is that going to look like? Our allies don't share intelligence with us anymore because they don't trust us. We will not know so many things we need to know in order to keep ourselves safe. Like, I don't know, when is the next terrorist attack scheduled? That's what we're looking at. That is the monumental change that Pete Hegseth and the other incompetent, unqualified people foisted upon us by Donald Trump are bringing to the Defense Department. Now, it's not surprising that Caroline Leavitt equates accurate coverage of the Signal debacle with a smear campaign. Today, the integrity of journalism came to the fore. Known as a Russian asset, Tim Pool, kind of alluded to him at the top of the show, has now been allowed into the White House press pool, which just demeans that institution even further than it already has been. As a reminder, Tim Pool was connected with receiving nearly $10 million from a Russian state media company known as RT to, quote, churn out English language videos that were often consistent with the Kremlin's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic divisions in order to weaken U.S. opposition to Russian interests like its war in Ukraine, unquote. This was reported by PBS back in September of 2024. Pool took to the propaganda because it's right up his alley. And being in the fact that he was in the White House press briefing room today just kind of closes that circle, doesn't it? Because he had a question ready. And here it is.
Many of the news organizations that are represented in this room have marched in lockstep on false narratives, such as the Very Fine People hoax, the Covington smear, and now what's being called the Maryland Man hoax, where an MS-13 gang member adjudicated by 2 different judges, I believe, is just simply being referred to as a Maryland Man over and over again. Now, in an effort from the White House to expand access to new companies, you've created this new media seat. So I'm wondering if you can comment on following this expansion, you've had numerous outlets disparage the companies that you've had sit here, as well as the reporters. I'm wondering if you could comment on that unprofessional behavior, as well as elaborate if there's any plans to expand access to new companies.
Sure. Well, we certainly welcome diverse viewpoints in this room.
Oh, yeah. Diverse viewpoints. It's also known as propaganda. God, these people. Guys, sorry, I'm calling it. It's over. There is no White House press pool anymore. This is not journalism. This is propaganda. There are no diverse viewpoints in that room whatsoever. We can expect nothing but softball questions and monologues about the greatness of Donald Trump and the things he is doing for this country. We can expect nothing but lies from traitors like Poole. And this is a real danger that we have known about for years. And yet, even professional journalistic outlets have continued to play the game as if everything is just fine. Bill Owens, who's an executive producer of CBS's 60 Minutes, resigned after 37 years, citing a loss of editorial independence amid external pressures. All because Donald filed a $20 billion lawsuit against is inflation that high? Wow. All right. $20 billion lawsuit against CBS alleging deceptive editing of an October 2024 interview with Vice President Kamala Harris. CBS denied the allegation, stating the interview was not doctored. CBS asserts that the First Amendment protects editorial decisions and that the interview was edited in accordance with standard practices. Under Donald, the FCC has initiated investigations into CBS, including a complaint against its New York affiliate, WCBS. CBS's parent company, Paramount, has considered settling. Yes, because we need more of that. We need more settling. We need more acquiescence. We need more capitulation. Yes, Paramount, please save yourself a couple of bucks and settle a case that you would almost 100% certainly win if you had the guts to let it play out. But Paramount's controlling shareholder, Shara Redstone, is eager to secure the Trump regime's approval for a multi-billion-dollar sale, and she has expressed that desire to settle because you people do not care about your mission or what is supposed to be your mission. Well, let me put it another way, because your mission is to make money. Okay, fine. You do not care about the people who work for you. You do not care about journalism or journalists. You do not care that every time you do this kind of weak, cowardly, unspeakable thing, you put a bigger target on the backs of the people just trying to do their jobs. Because of this mounting pressure with these lawsuits, Owens told his staff in a memo that, quote, over the past months, it has become clear that I would not be allowed to run the show as I have always run it, to make independent decisions based on what was right for 60 Minutes, right for the audience, unquote. What a travesty all of this is. This is seen as a huge step by Owens, who is only the third person to run the program in its 57-year history. Yeah, I grew up watching 60 Minutes, and as I said, this is a travesty. All because nobody in a position to do anything about it took Donald Trump's threats against a free press seriously. Well done. Well done. All right. It is time. Well, you know, we have our emotional support moment. I've been told some people may not feel that way about this one, but we're going with it anyway. You know, because we trust you. I don't think emotional support moments should have trigger warnings. No. All right. I think it's awesome. I think you will too. Just be open-minded. Because also this comes from one of our viewers, Karen T. And this is what she wrote. Quote, "Hey there, y'all." Oh, wow. I got to say y'all because it was in quotes. I would never say it if it weren't in quotes because I sound like a total idiot, but it was in quotes. So I got to say it. I won't say it again. I promise. I had to introduce you to the Wild Heart Ranch down here in Oklahoma. Annette, who runs the ranch, is an animal rehabilitator. Can I have that job, please? Because it would rehabilitate me. Anyway, who takes in literally anything that comes their way. Her social media feed is always great for emotional support moments, so I hope you all check her out. Thanks for all you do, unquote. Well, thank you, Karen, because that's amazing. And one, I'm happy to know about the Wild Heart Ranch page. So this is a video that was posted there. And we see some young owls. I love owls. And they're making noises that I have to be completely honest with you, I have never heard before, but they are awesome. So enjoy them.
Coming out to check on condition of the 4 great horns. We have 3 more inside that are almost ready to come out here. But I don't want to push them. You guys are just animated. Now, for all the people that see us hand feeding our little owlets and say, oh, now that they're imprinted. No, these are hand fed. They are not imprinted. If I get close enough, I could get taloned. But yeah, no, they don't like people. They want to get out of here. But
well, that's clear based on the noise. If I get close enough, they will cut me. But in the meantime, they will make those adorable little sounds. Those are adorable. Oh, owls. Owlets. I don't know. What are they called? Little owls? Owlets? I don't think so. Well, we're going to go with it. Why not? Thank you again, Karen. That's awesome. I love it. Okay, let us get to your questions and comments. Kathleen, thank you very much. Question. Mary, Danielle said earlier we should strike nationwide. How can that work with millions on his side that wouldn't join in? Well, actually, we've been saying that here for a long time, and you know, Danielle obviously has been one of the most vocal proponents of that plan, because it doesn't have to be everybody. It needs to be a critical mass of people, which is why it's really important that that these protests get bigger, right? Because we need more people involved in paying attention and understanding that protests are important, but they are not going to be enough. So, I mean, I don't know what the percentage of people is, but you know, we'd also have to identify the most critical areas to shut down. We would have to be very coordinated and have really good messaging, and we would also need to be very mindful that a lot of people would not be able to participate, and we need to figure out how to protect them, right? So it's not going to happen anytime soon. It's going to take a lot of work, but in the meantime, we can certainly be growing, you know, the protests and the awareness, which I think is extremely important. We don't need the other side. We'll shut it down for them. Donna, thank you again, as always. Oh, an Earth Day fee. Is it Earth Day today? How did I not? My very first Earth Day, or the very first Earth Day, I was driving from Boston, where I lived, to New York, and it was on the radio. And that was the very first time I heard the B-52 song, Rome. Very cool. Great song. Happy Earth Day, everybody. Let's hope we have one next year. Sorry, I should have kept that to myself. Spencer, thank you so very much. Comment. Someone once said, evil thrives when good men do nothing. Keep up the good fight. Okay. Thank you so much, Spencer. Yes, that is very true. Who said that? I should know. Was that Hannah Arendt? No, it wasn't. But it's true. Elie Wiesel? I don't know. It was it was in the context, I believe, of the Holocaust. And it's very true. We all need to be doing something, whatever it is that we can be doing. Regina, thank you very, very much. Comment, Onyx, my black cat made me late fee. Onyx, good job. See, cats are smart. They get their humans to pay late fees. Beans, thank you so much for that. Comment. So very grateful for you and helping me and countless others get the big picture. Your compassion for both people and animals shows. It gives me hope that kindness and empathy still a good quality to have. Well, that's very kind of you to say. And I don't know. I've never found it particularly hard to have compassion for people. And definitely, I never found it hard to have compassion for animals. And obviously, our world would be a much, much better place if more people were like you guys who understand that kindness and empathy aren't just good qualities to have. They're the most essential qualities to have. So I'm very glad you're here. Mary, thank you very much. Question. How do you stay so sane? Do I? Felon 47 has me absolutely crazy with a lack of constitutional respect. Well, I mean, sane is perhaps overstating it, but what helps? I mean, a lot of things help. I have extraordinarily good people. There's that. Also, you know, I think we're trying to make a difference, and that helps tremendously too. And as we go, you know, we're hoping to help other people find ways to do that makes sense. So, thank you. Hey, Lyndon. Lyndon heard the owls and is now like wondering what's going on. Like, are my owls moving in? Come on. Okay, 98% Oz in the house. Thank you very, very much. Question, will Donnie be standing next to the Pope? Sorry, standing to be... that, my friends, is what's known as a Freudian slip. Just kidding, NSA. It's not helping that I'm watching somebody else laughing hysterically at me. Make it a little harder for me to control myself. But no, I misread that. So let me try again, because this makes much sense. Will Donald be standing to be the next Pope? Well, I mean, I'm shocked actually that we haven't been hearing about what a great Catholic he is yet, but it wouldn't surprise me. That's for sure. And I apologize, because the picture in my head was very confusing. Thank you for the question that I finally figured out. All right, guys, that does it for us. I have someplace I need to be, but very happy to be with you this evening. Thanks, obviously. It was Edmund Burke. It had absolutely nothing to do with World War II at all. Edmund, I'm surprised I forgot because I used to read stuff like that. So yeah, Edmund Burke. Well done, Edmund. Good quote. Okay, so thank you, of course, everybody watching on YouTube, to all of our people from Twitter and my Substack, The Good in Us, who are live streaming. Everybody's going to be listening to this in podcast form. That's awesome. We so appreciate it. Obviously, to all of our super stickers, everybody giving us gifts, we appreciate it tremendously. Even though the fees are fictional, we love them. We mostly love how clever they are. I'm particularly fond of the cat treat ones because it justifies my getting kittens, Mary Trump Media kittens, the phalanx of them that we're going to be getting and training up for the fight. We're going to teach them how to keep their elbows up. I don't think kittens have elbows. I'm not really sure. Yeah, where's this? Also, easiest way to support us is just subscribe to our channel. It would help us tremendously. Also, like and share all of the videos, comment on them, and not just the lives. Remember, we have videos dropping every single day that I really think you guys will enjoy. So like and share those, comment on those. Just helps us with the algorithm. It just helps us in general. So thank you for that. To our amazing moderators, of course, who continue to make this a thriving community of people we love. And of course, to my extraordinary team for doing this work under quite trying conditions sometimes. So thanks, guys, for everything you do. I will be back. Oh, right. Okay. Travel day tomorrow. So there will be no Mary Trump Live because I will be on a plane, and I don't think they'll let me do that. I could try, but they're probably going to say, no, put that ring light away. So I'll be back Thursday. We'll keep you posted. Don't worry. And what else? Again, remember, there are videos dropping every day, and you will be able to check those out, especially if you click on the bell icon after you subscribe to the channel. You'll be automatically alerted every time there's new content. That does it for us. I will see you on Thursday. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind.